All right.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan here with Nesbrook Homes Homefront team, and I'm here with Ryan Nelson, and we're
Hey,
here.
man,
Hey, how
it's
are you?
good to see you. I'm doing well. Hey, I want to start real quick by saying I love, I watched you recently on doing a Facebook Live where you were talking about how you're getting into the investment space of property. And I love the fact that you're taking and leveraging real estate, not just as an agent, but you're getting it to work for you in another way, man. So I love how you're living it out and not just talking it up. So congratulations to you.
Oh man, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm living, practicing what I preach, right? And
Yep. So I commend you for it. That's really cool to see that. Congratulations.
quick, brief for plug is in this economy, as we know that times are getting a little tough there. We need to invest in hard assets, and real estate's a hard asset. So inflation's
Absolutely.
up and interest rates are still down. So get it while you can.
That's right. That's right. And it can, real estate can feed your family from many perspectives. As agents, it can feed you from selling and buying, working with sellers and buyers, but you also have a front row seat on seeing the other opportunities, like what's the value of a property and how can I add value to leverage that either in the rental space or the sales space. So I love the fact that you're modeling for the people on your team and for the people you serve as clients, the fact that real estate is a real investment, not just a career or a job, but it's something you can build a life around. So that's super cool to see that.
Yeah. I'm not just selling a product, I'm living with the product.
That's right. That's right. So from a home inspection company looking in, it's fun to see you living in that space. So I just wanted to champion that with you and say thanks for being authentic in it.
Well, thanks, Ryan. And if I didn't say, this is Ryan Nelson. And Ryan Nelson is the CEO, I should say, of Home Partners Inspections in Kansas City.
Yep.
And so as we purchase these homes and for my buyers and even sellers, Ryan runs a company that does home inspections. And as a Homefront team leader and as my team, we were going to do a series on inspections and contractors and what is important when you buy properties to have looked at your home and why it's important and what those procedures are. And one of the main things you want to do, actually the biggest part, would be the general home inspection, which is what Ryan does. And if you buyers don't know, if there's not something that really flags on a seller's disclosure when you're looking at a property, like most sellers don't flag things. Not going to tell you something really big is wrong. So you get the general inspector out there to look over the whole property and kind of look it over. And so to kind of tell us, Ryan, if you lead us off, what is a home inspection then? I kind of covered a little bit, but give me a breakdown.
Yeah, man, that's great. And I love that. I love the perspective that you're sharing on it. And a home inspection is basically a visual look at a property, and it's just a snapshot in time. It doesn't promise you what the property is going to do 6 months from now. It doesn't say anything about what the property did 3 months ago. It's just on this day and time, here's what we know about this property. And it's a lot like, say, a physical. We do physicals for our bodies. We go to the doctor on a regular basis just to make sure everything's healthy. A home inspection is trying to help people see the health condition of a property at that particular point in time.
Okay. So why did you choose to get into this business?
Yeah, I was actually in a completely different career when I got into this. I was actually serving as a pastor in a church and had the opportunity of someone that I knew who was looking for adding to their team on a part-time role. And I thought, you know what, that's a space I might be interested in helping in. So I actually got into the inspection role on a part-time basis to start with. And I was a 1099 contractor for other inspection companies. And the truth is, a lot of inspection companies operate on a 1099 contractor basis, which means that the people doing the inspections aren't actually employees of the company. They're just contractors with the company. And so I operated at that 1099 capacity for a while for a couple of different companies in the area, and just really felt like there was something that I wanted to do in the industry that was different in serving people. And so I jumped into the industry as an owner and have tried to been growing and building our business to serve people well. And it's just kind of an overflow of those roles that I played as a pastor for a number of years.
Okay. So who all would you say needs to get a home inspection? So for me, I work with a lot of buyers and I always suggest buyers get a home inspection, what other people out there might get a home inspection?
Yeah, so typically a home inspection is associated with that buyer side of the contract, because they're the ones getting ready to invest in this, and they want to consider whether or not after they've made this offer, are there any things we didn't know about, and that type of thing. They want to understand that property. So an inspection comes into play in those situations, because as something's exchanging hands, you just want someone to evaluate it a little bit further, to help you see some things through the eyes of a professional, as opposed to just someone who has lived in a home but hasn't really thought about how it operates and how it functions. But I'd even expand it a little bit broader, that there's some other people that might get inspections as well. So I'm going to name 2 or 3 other areas. Perhaps someone's owned a home for 4 or 5 years, and they just realize, hey, there's some things going on in our home that maybe we need to have a look at. It's not a bad idea to hire an inspector to come out. You may have no intentions of selling your home in the near future, but you want someone to come and look at it and evaluate it, just so that you can stay on top of maintenance of your home, so that when it is time to resell, your home's been cared for and not declining for the time that you've owned it. So that's another category I'd say. And then in this market, it's a little crazy. Some people would say, why would sellers consider a home inspection when people are willing to buy without an inspection? I'll throw this caveat out there. When you are listing your home and you fill out a seller's disclosure, if your buyer waives an inspection, that seller's disclosure is considered the expert on the property. So whatever you write on that disclosure is the leading line of thinking about that property. So if you say this furnace was installed in 2014, and the sellers or the buyers come in, something goes wrong with the furnace, and then the tech says, hey, this furnace was actually put in 2004. Well, the seller's disclosure, the expert on the property, said it was actually 10 years younger than it is. And the seller may have had no intentions of misleading, but the reality is they provided the data that helps someone make a decision. Now you're setting yourself up for the possibility of some exposure, which could lead to a legal conversation and that type of thing. I honestly think that sellers are exposing themselves in this environment when they accept an offer that waives inspections. Now, there's debate around that. Different people have different opinions, but I actually think an inspection helps to protect a seller as well as a buyer.
I don't disagree. I think they definitely get some legal counsel when they're waiving all that. And I don't think that a lot of agents are letting their clients know that that's actually a legal binding document.
Yep.
And there's a lot of
And
liability in there.
And the latest as is addendums gives a lot of latitude for clients and for agents to help their clients give that into consideration. But I think there's still a lot of case study that's going to be developed over the next 2 or 3 years, when people who've moved into properties having waived inspections are going to discover some disappointments in that journey. So it could be interesting to see that unfold.
Okay. Now let's talk about this inspection as a whole. So we go into these inspections. I see these things, homes are different sizes. I see these things being 25 pages to shoot. I've seen some 85 pages. So
Yep.
you walk into this home, and I know you can't break everything down you're looking at here, but just a general overview. How do you approach it? What are you looking for? How does this general inspection work?
Yeah, well, let's talk about this first. Back 20 years ago, inspections were on triplicate paper, and there was no pictures or anything like that. Most
When I say pages, I mean on my computer.
Yeah, but and I just want to talk a little bit about where this has evolved. So most inspection criteria, or the standards of practice people identify with, they actually don't require any pictures whatsoever. That's not a part of the standard operating procedures for inspections. However, we live in a visual culture. So software companies have been adapting to allow us to add pictures to software. And so there's a variety of softwares, and one inspection report might be really heavy on the text with a few pictures in it. And another inspection report, like the stuff that we use, is going to rely really heavily on pictures. And so it's going to be a very visual thing. So if you were to print it out, it's going to have pages and pages of stuff because there's more pictures involved to it. But more specifically to what to expect in the report, it's going to break down property by types of elements. So exterior elements, foundation elements, kitchen, bathrooms, and that type of thing. And you're going to see in the report each of those areas talking about aspects of those areas, so that if you have a plumber come out to do some work that was discovered in the inspection, they're going to be able to look at the plumbing section and see, here's several of the things that we'd like to have taken care of. There are some inspectors that do a room-to-room inspection format. I personally think we serve our clients a little bit better when we do it system by system, because that way, if you hire a contractor to come out and do work, you can see the list of everything electrical or everything plumbing, and they can knock out several things rather than accidentally miss something in one room. But basically, your report is just going to document a lot of the things that are seen in different systems throughout the home.
Okay. And so if we have questions about that report, are we able to reach out to you guys directly, the inspector, or how do we go about that?
Yeah, and I think that's a really important question. I try to make sure that we keep some capacity so that we have the opportunity to have conversations with our clients. We also, at the end of our inspections, do what's called a video review, where we'll talk through each of the pictures so that the client and the agent can actually hear in our words what we were observing about those things. That's actually helped a lot of people, because they can go back and listen to that video or watch that video and hear it with the inspector's own words, rather than just trying to remember everything that was talked about at the inspection. And then they're like calling the agent, hey, do you remember him saying something about that? Or, that type of thing. That video review has actually helped with communication with people a lot, because they get to hear it straight from the inspector's own mouth when they're talking about the pictures.
Yeah. So I think my next question is kind of a hard one to ask. It's like, I want the home inspector to do a great job for my client, but I also don't want the inspector to destroy my sale. How do you that? It's like, I want you to show everything that needs to be fixed, but I don't want you to send my buyer screaming down the street, the house is on fire, right?
Yeah.
And so, do you have any thoughts on the approach of, I mean, every home has things wrong with it. It just doesn't matter. New build has issues. There's thousands of components in it. It's made of wood. I mean, it's just cuts in thousands of pieces. So what are your thoughts on how to approach that as an inspector?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think professionals are as great as they are based on the professionals they surround themselves with. In your space, you surround yourself with a team of people, and it might involve lenders, inspectors, title company people, and that type of thing. And so, first of all, you want to surround yourself with people who share a value that's consistent with you, so that when your clients get who you refer, they're getting someone that it continues to flow with that. With specific regard to this issue, I think it's really important to understand, in our industry, a lot of people get into home inspections because they're attracted to the technical side of things. And people that tend to be technical tend to lack something, not universally, but oftentimes they tend to talk technically and not relationally. I think what clients really benefit from is someone who has good people skills, strong communication skills, but then they also have developed strong technical understanding as well. I think what I'd really want to say to answer that question is, inspectors really need to stay in their lane and be careful about the opinions that they're offering. A good inspector isn't just giving you data, they're telling a story. And they're helping people understand the story of the home so that they can make decisions on where to go from here. So I consider myself an educator and a storyteller when I'm on site working with a property, and how we train our team is to think in that education space. And I think what I would really say to you there is, a good storyteller is going to help someone understand where it's come from and where it's going. And sometimes the story makes someone think, I'm not sure I want to move forward with this. But when a story is put in its proper context, it actually brings more understanding than it brings fear.
All right, now let's get off topic.
Okay.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever seen in a home inspection?
Boy, there's a list of things. I think the one that there's two that I'll actually share, and they were both in brand new houses, believe it or not.
Really?
One brand new house that I inspected, we got up to the attic and there was not a single piece of insulation in the entire attic. So people are getting ready to move into this house, and there's no insulation whatsoever in the attic. That was pretty interesting. The other one was in a new house.
It cleared to everybody. It was good to go.
Yeah.
City, everybody said it was good.
Yep. It was ready to move. And I think we were within about a week and a half of them moving into the property, because new homes have a different process in terms of when the inspection comes into the equation.
Right.
And they were ready with everything, and no one realized at that point that there wasn't any insulation in there. The other thing was in a new home, we were running lots and lots of water on the main floor and the second floor. And then we get to the basement, and water was backing up out of the shower in the basement. And it turned out that apparently some of the workers had been cleaning their tools and stuff like that. And so you get sheetrock mud and stuff like that wash down the drain, and then it sits empty for 2 months waiting to sell, and it all hardened. And so the whole drain line ended up being clogged by the working material, and that was causing the basement to get flooded as a result of it. So there's other weird stuff, but those are the first couple of things. And I think the other weirdest thing, and you never recover from this, when you're doing an inspection, you're done with the main floor, you're up on the second floor, and you walk into a bedroom and someone is sleeping in the bedroom that you just walked into. Nothing freaks out an inspector like actually having someone sleep when they walk into a room that they didn't know was there.
Oh, I can attest to that. When I go to show homes, I knock on doors, and even though they're empty, and I shout, "Hey, if you're squatting, I'm just showing the house. I got no problems with you. Just leave me alone."
Totally can appreciate that.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, as far as inspections goes, it's your area of expertise. What questions have I not asked that I should ask?
What questions?
I always ask the experts. I'm not the expert, so what did I miss, right? So
yeah, I think some of the questions that are really good to be asking your inspectors is, keep in mind, in Kansas and Missouri, inspectors choose to self-certify. They are not required to conform to licensing. And there's been some pushes in that, and that's a conversation that might be really interesting to have another time, about what the implications of licensing is for the inspection vocation and that type of thing. But it's really important that inspectors identify with some sort of standard of practice. And that has a dramatic implication as to how the home is looked at and what people expect. And I think the main organizations are InterNACHI and ASHI. Those are the two primary organizations that people choose to identify with. And both of them have continuing education requirements. A lot of people don't do a very good job keeping up with their continuing education, and licensed states or unlicensed states don't mandate that they keep up with that necessarily. So my point to that is, it's always a great idea to ask your inspector, so what's the last CE class you took? And just see how they respond and see if they can identify something. And I think the other thing that's really important is to understand and manage the expectations of what the inspection is. It's not a warranty. It's not a guarantee. It's not, it can only give you an idea of the situation at that point in time, and it can't really exceed that. And so I think it's really important that people understand that home inspectors are generalists. They're not specialists. And so when they do refer you to a specialist, it's a lot like your family doctor saying, you know what, we may want to get an orthopedic surgeon in on this, or we may want to get a sleep doctor in on this. It's really important that inspectors understand their lane, and it's even more important that clients understand the inspector's lane.
I've never even thought about asking about their training credentials or their current credits.
Yeah.
And on that, you've been recognized as a trainer for real estate agents continuing education.
Yes, I've gone out and gotten that certification, and I'm really excited to be investing in real estate professionals in that capacity.
Let's talk a little bit about that. What is that? Who gave you that licensing, and what is it offering, and what can you do with that?
Yeah, so for me to be able to do that, I have to get certified through the local real estate association. And so I partnered with another company that helps us to create these opportunities. And I've learned a lot about the CE processes that real estate agents go through. And let's be honest, not many of us walk away from continuing education classes inspired and thrilled and motivated by that journey. Most of us take CE classes because our licensing requires it. Is that fair to say, Ryan?
Old dog once, but
and so once in a while you're surprised, and there's some interesting things that come out of that. But the truth is, most of us aren't clamoring about, I can't wait to take my next CE class. And so I've gotten into this space because of my love and passion for teaching and investing in other people. And what I've discovered on this journey is that there are some very specific things each time I teach a class that I have to cover in that class. And the credentials that I have require me to hit these points in this class. In fact, I have to submit curriculum and have it approved before I can teach it. And I can only vary from that curriculum a certain amount of, a certain percentage for that class to actually be considered a CE class for agents. So the end result of that is I have to consider, how do I get through that curriculum in a meaningful and hopefully at times a creative way, but then how do I create space for a dialogue with agents so we can get to the stuff that really matter to our agents, so we can make them better business people and not just make them qualified for another 3 CE credits.
well, I know that we got you scheduled for our brokerage and we look forward to it.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. And I love talking on topics like managing the home inspection and that type of thing. But at the end of the day, my goal is to make an investment and not just punch a clock.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so I'm going to post your information up there when we post our videos, but you want to give a shout out? How can we get a hold of you in Home Partners Inspections?
Yeah, I love that. Our website is homepartnerskc.com, and there's a link there where you can click to schedule an inspection if you were wanting to do that. Or you can call, and our number is 913-390-3376. And we do have that phone answered 24/7. So you are welcome to call that anytime. Now, it may not be me, but they'll at least get a message to me and stuff. But we want to serve you well, and we want to be accessible.
All right. One of our valued partners, Homefront team. And Ryan, I appreciate your time. I know you guys are busy. I value it. I appreciate it. You're a good friend, and thank you for sharing this with me today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Ryan.
All right. Thank you.